purpose of this meeting is to provide information and hear comments from those present relating to the Bureau of Reclamation land transfer. Very interesting. Just a little bit ago, Aaron Thompson made the announcement that of what his plans are, and it was posted on their website. We'll probably have Donna read this after a bit. Why we have you here, why we asked you to come, the Bureau is trying to set up, and this is mainly one of the main reasons we wanted to let the local people in Trenton, the business people and stuff, know what's going on. Because a lot of things have been done, such as that guy building a storage out there. A lot of you guys have made plans on your businesses in relation to the lake and stuff, and this is definitely going to affect it. We started back in August of last year, I think it was sometime in August. Donna and Court and Sue came to us asking if there's anything we could do to help them save the lake. Aaron denies this, just Friday he did, that he ever said anything about the trailers and stuff having to be removed until just about the 18th of April or here or something. But anyway, we started this process clear back in August because of that reason. We had a meeting here. Some of you may have been here, I don't know. Back in September, I believe it was, and kind of talked about it and stuff. And we had Nick from the Bureau came and said that Donna and Court was looking at buying the place and that they could probably buy it. Well, we started researching that, and Senator Fisher, we contacted Senator Fisher's office. They said that they can't do a private sale, but they could, if there was a government entity that would take over control of it, that they could deed it to the government or sell it to this government entity or something. So we, as the county, have been looking at it and trying to figure something out and stuff, and we just keep running into roadblocks all the time. Senator Fisher was the only one that we wrote letters to all of our congressmen and senators, and Senator Fisher was the only one that responded, and they sent Brandy down from Scotts Bluff, and she's been fairly good with working with us, but she says we've done all we can. Well, we have continued to have meetings with the Bureau and tried to work with them, but every time we go in, we're running into a roadblock. First off, it was the sewer system, and then this system, and that system. As we researched it, we found that they meet all the state standards on their sewer systems. The fire marshal signed off. Yeah, they had a few complaints, but they were addressed and they signed off on it and approved it. So we meet Nebraska standards. Well, with Aaron, he said we had to meet the federal standards. Well, the senators did come back and say had to meet the Nebraska standards, not the federals. So anyway, as we try to jump through hoops and try to do all this, it's been real time consuming. Like I said, we keep running into roadblocks. To give you an example of the roadblocks, we had asked Brett, Aaron's boss, to come today and meet with us at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, he said he would do a phone conversation to me, and then evidently he talked to Aaron and found out what's going on, or thinking that he's going to run into a lot of opposition. So he called and said he didn't have time to meet, and then he set a phone conference up with only me. Nobody else could be involved. Only me for the 15th of June, which was a very interesting date because they met about a week or two ago, and they wouldn't sign their contract with the Bureau, and the Bureau gave them until the 16th to sign it. So this guy would only talk to us the day before the contract signing. Only me, nobody else. Well, then I called up and tried to arrange this deal for Aaron to come again, because he said his boss said he could do it anytime. Aaron told me he didn't have time to waste on it. And that was that deal. And then in the meantime, they called me back and said if I wanted to do a phone conversation on Friday, we could do it at 3 o'clock this last Friday. This was Thursday morning, you know, they're really trying to work with us. Thursday morning, they said we could do a phone conversation. Well, I didn't say anything about it to them, but I asked Scott and Rhonda if they could come or whatever, and Scott was able to go, so Scott went with me. And we went down there, and it was total turmoil. Aaron didn't know anything about it, supposedly, or anything else. Just, they have not cooperated to work with us at all. But anyway, I went in there and I says, Aaron, I don't have a problem with you coming. We're not trying to pull anything. And so finally Aaron had to call his boss to see if he could get invited. But Aaron come into the meeting and talking to his boss on the phone. They laid the phone down. It was supposed to be a video conference, but laid the phone down and we had the conversation. And it didn't go well at all. It started out with, well, you guys think Aaron is bad, wait until I'm done with you. And he started in and he read us the riot act about them trespassing, very negative and whatever. Then he kept going on, and I said, well, just a minute. He was gonna have them evicted because they're trespassing. And I said, just a minute. I says, you're not gonna do anything right now because you have given them till June 16th to sign the contract. And anyway, they started to get in again, and Josh, this guy named Josh was sitting there, and he says, that's right. He says, it is the 16th, they have to make a decision. So then they shut up. And then I said, we're not here to argue or fight. We're here to make a resolution or something so everybody's a winner on this. And what the Bureau wants to do, they want to get rid of the trailers and the concession area. And in 2025, they're going to start construction for a water park and camper sites and all this. And they said it's just wonderful. They said Cambridge is 100% capacity. It's full. We asked them why they don't do something. Well, they're working on it. Cambridge is 100% full. They got all 4 cabins full 100% on the weekends in Cambridge. So, but this is kind of a rundown of what's going on. And something that's very interesting just happened. Just within the last hour, right? Mm-hmm. Within the last hour, it was published on the Bureau of Reclamation's website, Aaron's plans for here.
And the Willow.
And the Willow was just published on their website. So, I mean, they are dead set on closing it down. When we talked to this Brent, he says, well, the only way you can do anything, I says, we're running the idea that you don't want us to be involved. And he says, well, the only way you can do it is if you take over control or something. And he was kind of stammering and stuttered. And I said, well, we approach you on the Dingle Act. They passed the Dingle Act in South Dakota, or, well, it's federal. But anyway, so that they could sell it to this government entity and stuff. And he said, well, that doesn't apply to Swans. And evidently things don't apply to Swans. But as we go on, and I talked to him about it, then he says, you need to get your senators involved. This is the only way you can do it. And we've been trying to get them involved. we've been working on this. We sent them letters clear back in November. And that's when Senator Fisher responded. We're very fortunate, we think. I feel great. I got a call Friday. Adrian Smith office called a guy, and he's here. Scott Spluck.
Yeah.
You know, at least I think it's fantastic. He met Binkelman on something this morning, and he met Donna this afternoon. Donna took him for the tour of everything and stuff. So at least we have somebody that is listening a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Jason's here with the paper. He's going to try to help us, but we need to get the word out on the business that you guys are going to lose. You know, that's just like a city out there. And you put the two towns together, if a tornado hit two towns, we'd have, probably the president would fly over when it wiped it clear out. Well, that's what's happening. Aaron's tornado is hitting Trenton and Hugh Butler, and we're gonna wipe them out. Hitchcock County has offered to try to do something as a government entity. Our proposal, and this is what they don't like, is we'd run it like the Nebraska Game and Fish has run it for the past 50 years. It'd be about everything pretty much stay the same. We'd work on improving the situation and improving anything that's bad or anything, but we'd run it like the Nebraska Game and Fish has. And they don't want that. For some reason, they want it gone. And I could spend a long time telling you all the stuff that we have found out. But to give you one example that we just found out is that a place in Kansas, 2018, they say that the exclusive use is the problem. Now, the first thing they told me, it was the sewer. Now it's the exclusive use. But in Kansas, there's a Bureau-run lake. In 2018, they signed a 25-year contract with them to do just exactly what they're doing out here now. 25 expires in 43. Brought that up Friday, and his excuse was, we're talking about Swanson, we're not talking about there. We brought up Cambridge. Why don't you do Cambridge first and then prove to us it's gonna work? Well, we're talking about Swanson, not that. So then we say, why don't you build this water park to make it a win-win situation? If you build it out there somewhere around the trailers, you'd have all them trailer people who would use that water park and use the facilities, plus the people, the 4 parking spots or whatever we get to build, it's gonna be 100% full. You know, with use them too. It'd be just good business, because you take these people away, and I don't know how many of you are business people for sure. I recognize a lot of you are, but there's trailer people here too. But you take these trailers away, they won't be back, most of them. They won't come back. So they're gonna lose that business. And you guys, business people, are gonna lose that business. So that's pretty much it. I know I skipped over a lot of things, but anyway, Donna, do you want to present what that Bureau just said?
Yeah, I can read it. So Aaron Thompson just sent me an email before we were leaving the house, and he said, for your information, this news release was just published. I wanted to make sure that you were the first to be informed. He sent it to Red Willow and us. Please take a moment to review the information at your earliest convenience. So they just have they posted their proposed plans for Red Willow and Swanson. It says, the Bureau of Reclamation's Nebraska-Kansas area office is reviewing concession area plans for Red Willow and Swanson reservoirs. The planned upgrades to facilities and infrastructure will enhance functionality, visitor experience, and accessibility. Improvements will include the development of public amenities and attractions, such as full-service campgrounds, playgrounds, restrooms, picnic areas, and walking trails. Infrastructure improvements will include installation of a new septic lagoon system to manage wastewater in a cost-effective and environmentally friendly manner. These improvements will increase revenue for the concessionaires by drawing in more visitors and creating a space that is attractive to a diverse range of visitors, said Area Manager Aaron Thompson. The improvements to the park will create more inclusive and accessible space for everyone in the community. And then you can click on the link and it'll show you the proposed plans for the Willow and Swanson. So they just released that today.
So everything's good then?
Yeah. No, it's not good.
No.
So, it shows like little glamping tents there, like tiny houses, some more RV camping, and it gives all these numbers and to propose how much money it's gonna make the concessionaire.
But it doesn't have a start or completion date. So a concessionaire is gonna be out of business for 10 years while they're building it.
Friday was the first time that he'd ever given us a start time, and that was 2025 on the sewer. Scott tried to pin him down on how long all this is gonna take, and we couldn't get an answer, and then he finally said, well, 3 years, for the sewer.
For the sewer?
Yeah, and that's my understanding. And, I don't know. Our deal is, you know, they could do both if that's what they want to do. They could leave you guys here, that Trenton can benefit from the business, the bank, the insurance companies, everybody. You know, could benefit from the business of the lake people. And plus, the tourism would be fantastic because they could bring in more people for the other. But for some reason, all the way through, I feel personally that Aaron Thompson does not want the trailers there. I don't know what the reason or anything else, but he comes up. Wyoming has a deal where there's a lake in Wyoming that they're leasing. I think maybe two in Kansas or one in Kansas.
One that we know
One
of.
for sure in Kansas, South Dakota or North Dakota. I mean, it's happening in other places, but we can't talk about that. We can only talk about Swanson and Hugh Butler.
And the one in Kansas is under Aaron Thompson's jurisdiction.
Yep, it is. And one of the meetings when I brought up this in Wyoming, he says, that's not my jurisdiction, but I'll see to it that it's closed down, is what he said. And then he sits there and flat, you know, when I said in front of his boss and said that, the reason that we'd started all this was because Aaron had said the trailers are gonna be gone, he got after me and started arguing with me that he never once said that they had to be gone. Well, why were we there? I mean, why did we start this back in August and stuff? But we're just running into the brick wall. What we feel, I feel, and I think the board's kind of with me on it, we can't do this by ourselves. We're gonna have somebody else help us. And it's gonna have to be somebody awful powerful. We even sent letters to President Biden. No reply, of course, but we did.
He hasn't found it yet.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It might be in his
Ricketts
basement
hasn't
or.
found his yet.
But anyway, we need your help. And it's gonna take a public outcry. It's gonna take a lot of damn work to get them to change. I mean, why did they put that out tonight? We begged them. I made a point, I asked, when I got into it with Aaron, and I can't remember exact, there's been so much, but I got into it with him. I says, well, show us this deal. And he said, I'll have Nick call you. Nick has yet to call me, and that's been over a month ago. We asked him about it Friday. We're busy. We don't have time to fool with this. You know, don't have time to make, with federal tax money, our tax money, make time to make Southwest Nebraska a better community. it just makes me boil. And for such few people to be able to have this and control it and ruin it for us really upsets me. You know, and don't mean to step on toes, but the thing I think our senators, our congressmen should some way or other control the purse strings to these people. We can't even balance a budget, but we're gonna spend $1 million. And he told me $10 million is what he told me that his bill is projected to cost. But you're gonna spend $1 million for a sewer system. I worked for the Bureau back in the late 70s. They talked back then about doing a sewer system. It's made it since the late 70s to 2023 without a sewer system, and we're still under compliance. Let's work together to make this a better place instead of destroying our lives. And that's pretty much, I'll take questions, or Donna, do you, or?
Well, I'd like to say something to the sewer systems because, and I know that Donna and Corky will. Sue Dope.
Okay, thank you. It's all
Lighthouse
mixed up, but I
Marina.
can't find you.
Sue Dope, Lighthouse Marina,
Thank
Willow Springs Investment Group, Hugh Butler Lake. So,
That's a lot.
yeah, big line for
I'm just
short
gonna
person.
Marina.
The sewer systems are not the problem because the DEQ has told us that they are not concerned until they fail. All of ours are fine. When they fail, they want them replaced with a pump out. Every one of our trailer owners are perfectly willing to put in a pump out septic system when their septic systems fail. Now, we have some large systems that are approved, but of course that was approved before, before apparently
2005.
about the time Biden was born, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to be there, but and those, we have all the plans, all the approved plans, but those individual septic systems, the DEQ said when they fail, that's Nebraska law, when they fail, they need to be replaced. My brother is licensed to handle septic systems. And so they keep bringing that up, and it's a ridiculous point. Now, they had some problems in Cambridge with them, but we don't have any. The last inspection,
We didn't have any.
however, we had one fail, and they wouldn't approve for the people to put in, so they've gone without one now for 5 years.
They,
That'd be us back here, back row. This is year number 5 without a septic system.
And then
Because they won't approve it. And then this last year, they told us, you're welcome to do that, but that doesn't guarantee that you stay. So luckily, we have family that is right next door, and so they're very gracious and allow us to use their trailer. But this is year number 5. I continue to pay my lease. I continue to be in compliance, but year number 5.
Your name, please.
Christy Dom.
my understanding and what I've read, like on the sewer systems and stuff, and once we started talking about this, then he changes the subject to something else. But they have to test the ground or between them and the lake or something to see if there's contamination and stuff. So they're following rules and they're doing it. It just, they want it gone. And I've been told, Aaron, one of the first meetings I went to him, I don't like picking on him, but he's the one that's brought us on. He bragged to me how good he is at doing things, that he moved the Bureau office from Grand Island to McCook. Originally it was in McCook, that's where I worked at it. Well, originally it was in Indian Knoll, then McCook, and then Grand Island. Now he's moved it all back, wasted a lot of government money. But what bothered me more than that was the wives and the clerks and stuff that lost their job because they were splitting their families or something to move to maintain their jobs. Not, you know, I've had experience on that with the Bureau, so I know about that. That bothers me. You know, it doesn't matter what it costs Trenton or Culberson or Walmart or Atwood, it doesn't matter what it costs. He wants to build a legacy. He has told people that I want to be remembered for the legacy of building this. Huh?
It won't get used.
Yeah.
It won't ever get built.
We can't keep pools in our towns. How are we gonna keep
Well,
anybody to run?
I was thinking, as it come in tonight, it really wouldn't be a bad idea if they built a swimming pool, because we can't do it at Trenton, or McCook's having all kinds of trouble doing it. So, but anyway, we need to figure out how are we gonna save this? Who are we gonna get to help us save it? And
Okay, so Robert Peterson.
Thank you.
So everybody in this room knows that this isn't gonna happen. They're gonna take the trailers out, there isn't gonna be a darn thing happens there. We call the senators, we call congressmen, we do whatever, as much as we can. The squeaky wheel gets greased first. So what else can we do past that to get our point across that this is a big mistake?
I don't know. That's why we're having this meeting. And I want Trenton to know what they're gonna lose. You know, the other day.
But they need to know that.
Yeah.
Not
The
them.
people need to know it.
They don't.
I know, but we do. And we need to make them know that we care. So
Yeah.
what else can be
I
done
don't know.
as far as
The other
getting
day I
ahold
was
of
up
other
at-
people?
Other day I was up at Trails on the weekend, and there was a line from me to Scott of people from the lake, you know. That brings in a lot of business. There's some business benefit more than others. I realize that. But I remember, Jim Cox used to, he's passed away and gone, but he used to hook up the trailers, the water in the spring. He used to drain the water. He used to do sewer problems and stuff. And he told me it was 75% of his business during the busy time and stuff. That's what he, you know, is good. So if there was a Jim Cox 30 years ago doing it, there's somebody doing it today. You know, and I agree with you. What do we do? That's why we're having this. We're telling you, you guys are gonna have to help us do this.
Just tell us what to do.
Yeah, I wish I
There's the
could.
question right there.
Right now, the first thing I would do is send letters and call them and stuff like that. Because once you get all the right person, they'll show up, we hope. They did, you know. Do you have any suggestions on how we can get the people to respond? I mean, you don't need to say anything if you don't want to, but.
I'm Val Jansani, I'm with Congressman Smith. So, power of letters are big, and phone calls to DC, if you start doing that kind of stuff, I mean, the numbers published on his website. The comment I was gonna give you that I got this morning from DC, let me go through this. He said, this is from one of his staff members. He said, Congressman Smith and his staff engaged extensively along with Senator Fisher in attempting to have the Bureau of Reclamation and Nebraska Game and Parks reach an agreement which would allow leasees to remain on site. Our understanding is that the long-term goal of Bureau of Reclamation and Nebraska Game and Parks Committee has been to maintain recreational access to the area. And Congressman Smith is committed to ensuring and promoting recreational access to these lakes in the long term. It benefits both outdoor enthusiasts who want to visit the area and the county's tax coffers. So that's his stance on it now. So I think if you guys start flooding that stuff in his direction, you know, they're gonna act more on it. And you know, I have the DC phone number. It's not like it's hidden. It's on the website, and I have it here as well. So.
One thing I didn't tell you about, when we first started this, I worked with their Game and Fish really hard to try to find out what's going on. First thing they told me, they spent no money on the concession area, on the trailers. They managed it, but they didn't spend any money on it. And I said, well, what does that mean? Well, we made sure the rules were followed and stuff like that. And we brought in, and I don't remember what the figure was, like 3 or 4% of the gross sales they brought in and that. But they withdrew from it because the Bureau was gonna make them the bad guys. The Bureau, they had to tell the concessionaires that they had to get the trailers off. And they said we weren't gonna do it. I talked to commissioners, game commissioners, the people that run the game commission. I talked to chief deputies. I didn't talk to the top dog at the Game and Parks, but I talked to a lot of people. They all said the same thing, and most of them said, off the record, we withdrew because we were gonna lose taking care of the rest of the lake if we pursued, because we weren't following their instructions. So I asked them, I said, would there ever be a chance of you guys taking it back over for us if we could get ownership of it or anything? And they said they doubt it because they still have partners with the Bureau and it would create interference. So it would have to almost, right now, the way I see it, almost have to be the county. And I guess the other thing I never really said, the three of us, it's a general consensus that yes, we would even look at taking over the lighthouse, Lakeview Lodge, and other assets out there, manage it, but it would be pretty much on the same basis that I talked about that the Game and Parks used to do. We're not gonna spend a bunch of money or anything. We may contribute in like-kind services or something like that. But that's the other thing that Aaron asked about the third meeting I had with him. He says, how many million are you guys gonna bring to the table for this? You know, he wanted us to bring money in to develop all this. So that's basically where we're at. And we don't want this, you know, we don't want this to be a hostile deal or anything else. We just want to continue on our lives. Yes.
I have something just to, add to it.
What-
I've been walking,
What-
sorry, Harry Clausen. Yes. I'm a trailer owner at Swanson. I've been walking the campgrounds every weekend. Memorial weekend, it was not full. There was like 14 spots open at least, but I only walked one part of it. This past weekend, I walked that same part, there was 28 open spots. Every weekend, there's over 20 spots open, so it's not like
The
they're
spots are
fighting
open.
for a spot for their camper.
Well, see, I thought Macklin Bay, because it's always open.
Yes.
I thought that'd be a great place to do it. The more I thought about it, you know, for them to build their site, the more I thought about it, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad deal to build it closer to the marina. And maybe the marina could take care of things or help. Jim, to do a water park, think of how the Bureau does things or how the government does things. You're gonna have to have 4 or 5 lifeguards for every 2 kids. I mean, seriously, that's the way they do it. They'd take a big labor deal.
We don't even have a park superintendent. I mean, how are they gonna find people to work at their resort? I mean, seriously.
But you guys, what do? I think Donna has, and maybe Sue, and some of them around here, have addresses, have phone numbers, get them and work with them and do it. You know, I get emotional thinking about this, guys. It just pisses me off.
But you call and call and call, and you don't get to talk to them, you get to talk to receptions. Well, where does that go from there?
So I'm Carla Hebel and I'm a trailer owner out there as well. I'm from Kansas, but we have a trailer. I visited with Congressman Tracy Mann, who's Kansas representative, and kind of got a couple of different people. Sarah Henry, I believe is out of, I don't know where she's out of, but I want to say Manhattan, and she was very helpful. She is going to be in contact, and she wanted a response of what happened to this, at this meeting. I also visited with Senator Jerry Moran and Senator Roger Marshall, all of Kansas. And when I got a hold of Roger Marshall's office. Bonnie there said that sometimes you have to be careful if you get too many senators or congresspeople involved, it kind of makes it messy. So I visited in depth with them to make sure that what we were doing by sending a bunch of letters was going to be beneficial and not harmful. And so they kind of had, between Senator Moran's and Roger Marshall's office, they kind of had maybe a little bit difference of opinion. But they did recommend, especially for the people who live in Kansas who own property up here, which I believe is 68 of us, to get a hold of, send a letter. And they're very well aware. These three offices have been talking today with their people up in DC. One of them had contacted the Bureau and said what's going on in Southwest Nebraska, Northwest Kansas. And so they're wanting answers from the Bureau, and so hopefully we'll see where we get here. They did ask for letters, so whether we want to do one letter with all of our names, and especially the landowners or the property owners from Kansas, will make a difference on visiting with these. Some of the staffers knew Deb Fisher, Senator Fisher, and Congressman Smith, and they're in conversations, and they said they talk at least on a weekly basis about it. So I think at least we've shaken some trees, and hopefully we'll get some better answers. We said we want to know what's going on. We want a voice. We don't want the federal government coming in here and just telling us what to do and bullying us without giving us a voice. Because what they want to do, take it to the city. Out here, it's not feasible. Where's their feasibility study on this?
Yes,
So
we
at
asked
least,
for it.
yep, and at least now they listen, and hopefully they'll be in contact with your office, or, and we'll get someplace, because,
A site study.
yeah, we need, we need a voice. We are the people, not them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to quit talking because it really gets to me. I get very upset. Yes.
Al Dunworth, Red Golden Lake. I'm curious to take that one step further. It appears that, these agencies have policies that they create. These are not laws passed by our legislatures. Do we have legal recourse? And what is that legal recourse? Gene, maybe probably out of your field of expertise, but
We've had an attorney look at, is it all right if I say? Yeah. We've had when I say we, I'm talking about Sue and Donna. Had an attorney look at this, and they say the way the contract is wrote, we're screwed as far as legal recourse. Not kind of taking words out of context, but that's pretty much the way it is. We might have some, and this was an attorney out of Omaha, it wasn't Gene Garner, but, or anything like that, or any local. But there's possibility and stuff, but we don't want legal recourse. Let's build something that stays, keep the trailers here, and if the Bureau wants to waste the money, let them go waste the money somewhere else. We need to I think we need to concentrate on trying to keep the things as it is. Yes, Sue?
Al is correct. They have directives on how they're supposed to handle this, and they have none of the directives. None of them.
They were supposed to have public meetings explaining this, get the public opinions before they do it. They haven't done any of this.
No.
And
they based this pie in the sky thing on a study that UNL did, and then again the Game and Parks did, which they sent out a survey to 1,500 people, not people, 1,500 like EDC, Chamber of Commerce, city, whatever, in 2018 and 2019, called the SCORP survey. 1,500 out of the whole state. And the response was they were supposed to respond on what they wanted to see. Now that never said in it, we're gonna eliminate a whole bunch of stuff in order to give you your little pool. But the SCORP plan also brought up a very interesting thing, which was our region, which was Region 5 in that SCORP, which included southwest Nebraska and up into, kind of up into Ogallala, et cetera. You know, pretty big area. 25% of the people that lives in that region make $25,000 or less. We are the lowest income region in the whole state of Nebraska. And yet they want to bring in something that is going to take away jobs, take away income to our like community, and make it so expensive that the people that live here can't do it, can't use it, because if it's the federal government doing it, you know what it costs to go to federal. Yeah, anything.
Their cabins on here were their new plan, $150 a night.
Yeah, some of the local people won't be using it.
Right, so they have been, the Bureau themselves, not just Aaron, but the whole smear, because he was not in charge when they changed the language from no exclusive use in 2009 in the Federal Registry, January 5th, 2009, they changed it to no new exclusive use. So they were deceptive when they brought a contract to Donna and Corky. They were deceptive when they brought a contract to us, because they told us we had to sign it in 2010 because exclusive use had to be eliminated. Well, if you read the Federal Registry, there's steps they have to follow before they eliminate us, and they have done none of those steps.
Their website still says no new private exclusive use.
So this has been going on, but we weren't aware of it. None of us were aware of it because no one is truthful coming out of that office.
But that goes back to what's the recourse? If they just lie to us, what's our recourse? We have to have some sort of recourse, and it may have to be legal recourse.
I think that they have to be, I think that the people that we want to contact have to be made aware of the fact that the Bureau is not following their own directives in doing this.
And I think that's another thing that, you know, you guys may need to do, is join together, pool some money and hire some attorney. I mean, that's gonna cost a lot of money to fight the Bureau. And these attorneys make a living too. They're gonna get
With that
paid.
thought, Jennifer Baker. So I went to several of these meetings at Cambridge, because my good friend Melanie Jones-Wire, Bicentennial, they ponied up a lot of money for lawyers for this and got nowhere. So I would say that's probably, I don't know that that's your best recourse. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of people's time and it got nowhere. Just to throw that out there, I mean, you don't want to invest money in something that people have tried and it's already went down the drain. Because Melanie said the worst thing you guys can do is lawyer up because you're just throwing your money away.
And that Brent did
This is what I'm
say
texting
in our
right now.
closing, Jennifer, he did say in closing, our best bet was to deal through the congressmen and senators.
Right.
And, we felt really good about Senator Fisher and stuff, but we've been kind of running at a brick wall. But my last conversation with Brandy, last Wednesday or Thursday was that they don't know what to do. They offered us all they could. Well, you know, need to work a little harder. Maybe they can offer more. Maybe
One
they
more
can-
thought, sneaky through the future. Right now, my son and Adam Kisker, Jace, I don't know, there's several area kids, are going to meet with the congressmen and the senators on 13th of June. Meeting them personally, shaking hands. So if you, not me, because I'm terrible at that, draft a letter. Jack Baker could say to Adrian Smith, here, I'd like you to read this on behalf of, I own a business. I mean, he doesn't own the business, but Jack eventually will. It will affect him down the road 10 years from now. That will be Jack's future.
Right.
So it does affect those boys that are in Bianca that are they're meeting with the senators. They're meeting with all of them in the next 3 or 4 days here. So if somebody had some letters they wanted to send,
I do.
Leanne could print them off at the hotel, and the kids could personally hand them direct in and say, this is my future that you guys are throwing away my area. This is,
Well,
That's a
read
good idea.
letter, Sunday, that was sent to me. I couldn't read it, because it's, you know, it's the kid's life, 4 generations. And told about when he was born, all the way through his marriage out here at the lake. You know, they have a life, and I never was involved much with the trailer people. And I don't mean that trailer people being bad. But I never was much until this past year, and he started coming to me. And the thing I found out, them trailer people are people just like us. They're out there, they wanna be your friends, they wanna help, they do things and everything. We need to fight for this, I think, not just for that reason, for the survival of Hitchcock County. They pay close to $30,000 in taxes to the Hitchcock County for the schools, the fire departments and all this stuff, and the county. And, you know, just like that, when we're at the meeting the other day, Aaron was putting it down at 2,500, well, about 25,000, you know, making it sound like there's just total deception all the way through. And I gave Aaron the figures on the tax, so he knew. But it just, we're fighting. It's not gonna do any good to fight. We need to shut the purse strings off, and they are federal government. I just don't understand it. We can't bounce the budget the way it is, and here we wanna spend 10 million on a water park at Hugh Butler and Trent.
Melanie also said they came out with those exact same plans when they did this to Cambridge, like right away that they printed out. She said it was the exact same plans that they told Cambridge is what was gonna happen. And that's been 4 years ago now?
2009.
And so, and they haven't started, I was just there last weekend at the lake, it's an overgrown weed patch.
That's the only part of their DNS that they do follow. Because legally, he has to put this out to the public before he can make the trailers be gone.
It's called placation.
Yeah. We met, with the irrigation district. I mean, as we've gone through this, they keep coming up with ideas. First, it was their idea to do the private sale. Wasted a bunch of time on that. They knew we couldn't do it. Then it was us. And, you know, he told me that to make the Dingle Act work, that we'd have to manage it for 1 year. That 1 year, we'd have the contract that we had to get rid of the trailers in that year. And if we didn't follow the directives, that we couldn't, he would not proceed with us being deeded. I mean, everything, we just keep running into a block.
And then we went to the irrigation district.
Then they told Donna and Sue that the irrigation district would be the deal.
It would be an easy deal.
Easiest deal. We talked to Tom Guy that done it for Blue Hill, and we talked to him, we met, and we went and met Brad and stuff. Well, Brad says they were interested. And then they talked to Aaron and found out all this, they don't want nothing to do with it. I mean, it's, you know, it's do it my way and we'll work with you. But I would just say that you guys need to organize, and I don't have any better idea than to send letters and communicate, call them and stuff. And I haven't had the best of luck. We haven't had too good of luck on our letters and stuff, so.
I mean, would you suggest just calling the higher abovs at the Bureau? People just blasting them with phone calls?
I don't know.
I mean, at this point, it can't hurt any.
It can't hurt anything unless you make them just mad or
Right.
that they're gonna.
Right.
But there's.
The Bureau? No.
Aaron Thompson, Brent, and then above Brent, there's another one. And I think in the end, there's a lady.
The commission.
And stuff. And we did send a letter to her and no response.
Aaron brags that he does this. He brags about eliminating Cambridge. You know, brags about anybody that goes up against him loses.
So, I mean, I think
So
Do you
those
guys have
would be
anything to
wasted
say?
calls.
What's
I
that?
think we bombard our senators, our congressmen.
Here's some information.
The BOR is, that's a wasted call.
I agree with you, Ken.
It's just a wasted call, wasted time. I think we bombard our senators. Deb Fisher, get her back involved, all of them. I mean, just so much that, damn it, they've gotta pay attention to little town people.
We would like to see them come here themselves and take a tour and see what's going on and see, you know?
We're not Omaha, Lincoln, and I don't think they always understand that.
Can I get your name, please?
Tammy Hyman. So I think we need to bombard them, annoy the crap out of them until they at least take a look at it. And get everybody you know to do the same thing. Call, email.
Tammy, I agree with you. I think that's our only out here.
BOR doesn't have
No.
any common sense or
My name's
reason
Bill Roddy.
behind what they're doing.
Bill Roddy, I'm a trailer owner. Well, I live in Trenton as well. But I think the important part when we can get a hold of a politician is to really talk about, you know, I mean, of course, we're all passionate about it, but the biggest thing is the Bureau of Rec has options here. You know, they don't have to do this to us. They don't have to do anything at all, really. They address, and we kind of talked about it, Al and Sue brought it up, and Donna and Paul. You know, they address private exclusive use in their standards and directives. They address it. They know it exists, and it doesn't say anything about existing private exclusive use has to go. You know, it addresses it. It talks about you need to be in compliance with health and safety, you know, and these type environmental codes. And, you know, that's really what it takes for them to decide, to determine whether they're gonna renew the lease or not. I don't think we violate any of that stuff.
Well,
Or they haven't proven it to us that we do.
as an example though, just to answer that, we have a row of trailers that have spacing problems, and we know it, and in 2000, they told us that we were grandfathered in and we didn't have to worry about it, the fire marshal did. And then when they did their last inspection, or the next to the last inspection, they noted again, and they really felt like we needed to correct that. So my brother went out there and measured all of the trailers out, and Corky did too, and measured everything out, got the fire marshal's stamp of approval for how to correct those problems. And Aaron told us that he didn't interpret the rules like the fire marshal did, apparently. And you know, all we do is we present him with something and it's like, oh, but that's not how I see it. You know, well, excuse me, you're not the fire marshal.
Nor God.
Right?
Nor God.
Right. Well, no, it's a matter of opinion. But,
There actually is no longer a trailer spacing specification
there's just.
set out by the National Fire Protection Agency. All there is a restriction of existing decks or outbuildings that are close to your trailer, which if they're 5 foot apart, that's legal. If they're 3 foot apart, they have to be made of non-combustible 1 hour fire rating material.
Yeah.
But as far as the trailer spacing themselves, I have spoke on the phone with the National Fire Protection Agency. I'm a member of it. There is no trailer spacing in the state of Nebraska.
But anyway, you guys can talk about this or meet and have whatever. This deal was basically to inform the public what's going on, so they know, and we're looking for any help or solution to it or something. And maybe this is what you guys want. I don't know. It's not what I want. But, we need to probably be moving on. Do you, Ron, do you or Scott have anything you want to say, or?
Well, anybody from Colorado, have they got a hold of their?
Yes, I'm from Colorado. I'm a trailer owner, and it's Colorado now.
Yeah.
So I did reach out to all of them, yes.
Okay,
And-
well, I mean, if we could just get more of them on the bandwagon, I mean, I really think that
kind of what that guy told us the other day, it's gonna take congressional help or.
And
It's
the
gonna be
congressman,
tough.
and I live in eastern Colorado, and I live in a town size of Trenton. And the congressman that represents our area, he did come back, but the senators, it was a chain email back. It was basically, which I knew was gonna be a waste of time, but I tried it anyhow.
Well, at least they got a hold of you. That's
Yeah.
more than they've done for us.
And keep trying, I mean,
Rob has. Has.
What about the
HASC.
governor?
We sent him a letter.
letters to governor, we sent Joe Biden, we sent
Everybody?
everybody we could think of.
Right.
Department of the Interior, you never heard from them. This guy in Montana said he has the letter and hasn't responded. He says, well, we knew that, you know.
Right.
But he claims he's gonna respond to it.
He
I
said-
think, is that way you got it?
2 weeks.
And he says, are you gonna respond in a favorable way and maybe put in there what we can do to maybe make this thing work? And he really never committed on that.
They
So
don't answer a lot of questions.
we'll just have to see how he responds.
Well, that's the other frustrating part is on their Eurorec website, it talks about the title transfer process and everything that's involved in that. It can be done, they can do that.
It can be done,
You know,
yeah.
it talks about, I've read the whole damn thing, it talks about the qualifying entity, which I believe you guys are, and the process to do that. They have the application on there to do it, but a lot of it involves your area manager, you know, has to drive a lot of this stuff. We know Aaron Thompson's gonna drive any of that for us.
No, I know.
But it's there and they address it. The Dignal Act is part of that whole thing, you know? There's options, that's my point. There's options out there for us, but we need them working with us. I mean, I think they forget, they think they're doing stuff for the public. We are the public, you know, we are the public too. But that's just the frustrating part is they have options and they don't want to do anything. And we're at their mercy. And the only way we move forward is with a senator or a congressman or someone who's really willing to drive it.
That's right.
Here's something that's kind of interesting. It's called a mission statement from the Bureau.
Oh, boy.
We embrace a culture of respect for people through our own ethical behavior with clear, effective communication. We treat people with dignity and respect, fostering an environment that supports diversity, collaboration, inclusion, and excellence. We conduct ourselves with integrity, striving to be trusted public servants with the highest ethical standards. We actively listen and share information in a transparent manner. And we ask them to show us their plans. One of the reasons they would not show us their plans that was relayed to me, that's when I asked Aaron to have Nick, or I didn't ask him, I asked Aaron to do it, but he said he'd have Nick call me, was at an earlier meeting, one of our early meetings, I think both Sue and Donna were there at the county deal. I asked if I could record their conversation because I was the only commissioner that was gonna be able to go. And I asked Jean, and Jean said something about that we could, something if one person knew or something like that. I says, well, do we have to tell them? Jean just says it's good business to do it, but that in the state of Nebraska, if I understand this right, wrong, if I'm telling it wrong, Jean, tell me, but in the state of Nebraska, you could do it. Well, I didn't record it, Scott never recorded it, but Donna, and I don't know if Sue did, Donna recorded, and she told him that, and Aaron just come totally unglued, and that's when, then he wouldn't show us anything or anything like that. That just.
Well, because he knew he lied.
Yeah, he knew he lied, yeah.
Because he said the trailers didn't have to go.
And when we recorded him that day, he said there would be no changes to the lease and that we could come back in 2 weeks and sign it on April 4th.
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they never had the lease ready until April 18th,
The draft, yeah.
the draft ready. And then they wanted to sign it the next day.
No, they brought the draft to us the 24th of April, and then on the 17th of May, 17 days after our lease had expired, our contract had expired, they brought it with changes to us, no major changes, but with changes to us, and wanted us to sign it that day, and we both refused. We said we'd hired an attorney, and we wanted the attorney to review the contract. And that's when Aaron said that we could have till June 16th.
But technically, we were trespassing.
And that we were trespassing, and we both said, that's okay, we'll close down. We can spend Memorial Day weekend with our families for the first time in how many years? But they didn't think that was probably, so they said June 16th.
But anyway, you can talk to Sue and Don about all that stuff and work all them situations out. We're here to say that we support them, and we have offered to try to take over management some way or other. Not that we really want to, but we saw that as the only alternative to make Trenton and Ferguson and the local communities a better place to live. And that's where we, yes.
My name is Scott Wall, I'm a trailer owner. So what happens if we could maybe get some articles in the paper with pictures? I mean, of what they did to Cambridge, and then the plans of what he's trying to do for Swanson, put the senators, everyone, get more people involved in this around the area, and get it in some newspapers with pictures and his plan of what he's thinking about doing, because it's ridiculous. And most people are gonna see that, put Aaron's name in there and his address, and he's the one that's doing it. And so you can write him, just so you can write Aaron, or you can write your senators, put their addresses and phone numbers and everything in there.
I think that would be good, and that's something that you guys need to work on doing, I think, but, and that's just why, this is what this meeting's about. It's a start to let you guys know, let the businesses, people know what's coming down.
What was your last name again?
Paul Nichols.
Well,
CHAVATAL.
Yes.
What if, to his point, and I know I'm Bonnie Brown from McCook, Red Willow. I was on the board last year, and I mean, we sent letters, we talked to Fisher, we talked to Adrian Smith. We got the same thing, you know, we've done all we can for you. So I kind of feel like that's not getting there. But like to his point about getting it in the newspapers, what if we do a rally in the Bureau parking lot? And we show up, and we if we got this many plus.
Like,
hopefully-
no, we won't go.
But, okay, to that point, we're gonna have to be constructive about it.
Right.
You know,
We'll tell you what to say.
we're not gonna have an insurrection or anything, but we need, we'd have to have our information, written down about the businesses are gonna lose money, you know?
Right.
We'd have to show, like he said, pictures.
That's a government office. It would make more newspapers that way than it would any other
We could
way.
even invite, the TV stations, you know,
Right.
and say, we're having this rally, it'll get us out there, and maybe the senators would listen then.
I think that's a great idea.
To start, we do have, Jason is here with the newspaper, our local newspaper, and
Exactly, he can help us with, getting the word out.
And somebody just raised her hand, she's been recording or something.
The entire thing.
Post that video everywhere you can.
And we need to let the papers and these people know we appreciate them, because they're part of the community too.
Tim Dahm, I'm from McCook, have a trailer out at Willow there. Couple questions, is the 16th a drop dead deadline, or is there any flexibility with that, do we know? And then also, is there any type of like ethics board that oversees Aaron Thompson and his lack of transparency and things like that can be contacted at all?
I guess senators probably is who oversees him, so.
I'm sorry, sir, but you need to really relay, because we've been relaying to our congressmen and our senators, they haven't been getting much response. If they want votes in this area, elections coming up again, they need to do some work out here.
To answer the one question about the contract, I did talk to my personal attorney, and I got a name of another attorney, and it sounds like the only way that we get out of either being out of business or signing that contract is to go into federal court and have a judge, what's the term?
Sanction or injunction.
Estoppel, I don't know, but have a judge say, yeah, whatever the term is, I can't remember, because I've had one of those days, and I'm old.
And even if they may, I mean, if they, is there any way we can get, I mean, can we like come back and say we signed under duress, like they forced us, you know?
Or do we just shut down?
Or do we just shut down? Because I think everybody needs to be aware of the fact that even if we're able to save the trailers, which I am 100% behind, we probably are out of business. Because they've told us we can't sell it, and we can't, and it has to go up for bid, and if we don't bid on it,
Aaron will say that he.
we can
never
sell it
said
to the Bureau.
Yeah.
For
Aaron will
less
say
money.
he never said this, but our very first meeting, he told us that, yeah, they can sell the trailers out there. They need to take them to private property and they can sell them. Well, can they move them back? We'd have to see. And that's what he said, we'll have to see.
So technically, if they don't give us a lease next year, I don't even know if the trailers can stay, cause who do they get a lease from? So I don't know, it's very complicated.
Possibly, if we get some support somewhere, and we do proceed this transaction with Hitchcock County, or the irrigation district, or some other government entity, we could get a stay put in or something. It's gonna take 2 years is what they told us to do a deed transfer if we've done a Dingo Act. 3 to 4 years if we've done a legislative stuff, but it's already almost a year, and nothing's been done. So, anyway, I don't know,
Paul, I do have a printout of like all the senators and state representatives and the contacts, so if anybody wants that, I've made copies of it.
I'll copy it for you here.
Okay.
okay.
Can you post it on your page too?
Yeah.
Nicole Peterson, and I just have a question for you if you don't mind. So I've been looking online and I see that there's this Nebraska breakfast in DC that you can attend on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. You just RSVP. What is that really? And if people went, would they be able to talk to the senators and really get that before them? I know there's one June 2nd, 14th, and 21st.
Yeah, I've never attended one because I haven't worked here that long, to be honest, but I know that they have, anybody that comes from Nebraska, when they're invited, they have a delegation and they discuss things, but I don't know to what depth. I don't know if it's things like this or just surface stuff, I don't know.
Call that Nebraska breakfast?
Yeah, it's Nebraska breakfast.
Yes.
I also have a question for you. Penny Peterson, not related to Nikki. If we're going and we write letters, I've got the list that Donna has provided. Is it better to write individual letters to each of these representatives and congresspeople and senators, or is it better to write one letter and make it very clear that we're copying everybody on the same letter?
You know, the one letter is a good thing, you know, it really is, but if you want individual things, if I had a business and I knew I was gonna lose X amount of dollars, I wanna do my business separate and set it in and say, this is what's happening by the loss that we're gonna, you know, get. So I would definitely do that. And Donna's given me stuff. I met her about a month ago for the first time ever, and I knew none of this, and she gave me a pretty thick packet of information, and that was about that size. And that was overnight at the DC. So if she gives me stuff, she gave me some more stuff today. It'll be overnighted when I get back to Scottsbluff to DC to share things, so it's not, I'm doing what I can do from my little standpoint, but.
South Side of the Lake and the Girl Scout Lodge?
Possible. We have approached, we've discussed more the Girl Scout Lodge than the cabins on the south side. It seems that the cabins on the south side they haven't signed a lease, they don't have a lease yet.
Oh, I think they're done. I mean, they just keep raising the rent on them.
They can have they can have
Yeah,
exclusive.
I think
They're on a different
And
lease than us.
They're happy with what's going on right now with the Bureau. The lodge, my understanding on the lodge is, when we first met them, they were having some problems, and they've kind of come to some terms on the lodge. They've lowered the rent, and they have not said a word to them. They're not trespassing yet. They haven't said anything to them or anything, but we've discussed it as a county, and I'm not saying that we're gonna take it over. There's three of us, we gotta vote on it, we gotta have the support of the local people on it. I mean, there's a lot to be done, but that's kind of what this meeting's about, you know. I've been pushing and trying to get some kind of resolution or something. I asked the Bureau for a contract, and they said, no, you bring a contract to us. But it has to include how much money are you gonna bring and all this stuff. And we're not gonna waste your taxpayers' money on it. We would receive some money, like a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%, I don't know what it would be, over the gross business. And we would consider reinvesting to a degree or offer in-kind services of some type. We would consider some, I mean, it's just not we take. But we have no idea where we're going with it.
Mr.
Is that
Nichols?
fair? Yes.
Just for clarification, when you were talking about the Girl Scout Lodge, and I think you said that they had come to an agreement that they reduced the rent.
Yes.
I believe that actually what it was, they reduced the amount of the increase that they were asking for. Isn't that correct?
We're from the lodge. This is Penny Walter and Julie Burnt. And we met with them in October because the drafted contract was like $1,000 the first year, and it would step up to $3,000. Incrementally to like $3,000 by what? In 5 years. And we, of course, we're very low budget. We're nonprofit. So we knew we couldn't come up with that amount. So we did meet with them in October, and we did agree on $500 a year at that time. However, we have not seen a contract. So we do not have a contract with them.
And the $500 a year was an increase from what you have been paying, isn't that
We paid
correct?
$25 to the Nebraska Games and Parks.
So
It
have
was
you
just
paid-
like, you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone.
I talked to one of the cabin owners today, and he said they haven't seen a lease yet. That was just today.
Who's that?
I talked to a cabin owner today,
On the south side?
to Darren Workman, and he said they haven't seen
Jace
a
Four
lease.
hadn't gotten his either.
Are they trespassing?
I don't know, that's what he told me today, they haven't seen anything yet.
Trespassing, they could hand the damn
Well,
rental.
anyway, I guess if you guys wanna have some discussion, we're done with the meeting. You guys,
Well, we wanna thank you guys for
Right.
jumping in and
Yeah.
being, trying to help us out. We cannot get it done without you guys, so.
well, we can't get it done without you guys, and I don't know the answer.
Keep calling.
That's it.
Keep calling.
We get over that maybe.
I wanted to do that 2 months ago, but
Well, we used to be,
Anybody
going
wants
bad,
any
but
more
we run out
information
of
on the
time.
options that I believe we have that are in writing? I actually posted it on your Facebook right before I left to come to this meeting. It's in response, it's a comment I just put in response to, everybody should come to this meeting tonight. So it's on the Hitchcock County News Facebook, just a comment I put in there. It's long, but there's a lot of info in there.
Well, and if anybody wants to go down and picket them, I'd like to go.
I do have to say.
I brought that up a long time ago, and we need some Indians and, everybody we can get.
We got it.
I do have to say that I got letters of support from Red Willow County several months ago. We have support from Frontier County, however, Frontier County is not interested in doing what Hitchcock County is saying that they are interested in doing for their own various reasons. But that does not mean if they went ahead and took Red Willow, that even though they wouldn't get the tax income from it, they would definitely get the lease fee income, et cetera, which would amount to quite a bit of money because when you're able to sell a trailer, we have been, for the last probably 10 years, taking that same percentage, that 3.5%, and every time somebody sold a trailer, they paid 3.5% to the state of Nebraska Game and Parks for the assessed value of that trailer. So, and we had about 10 trailers turnover every year. So that would be another increase that would be beneficial to the county.
There's been a motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
Paul, there's one other thing that just kind of hits me, is we want to get everybody involved, and this is a nice group here. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if anybody is here with the village, please stand up and let me know. There's not one single representative from the village here. Cindy's not here, Phil's not here, nobody. We need to get them involved too.
You do, and it takes you guys.
Which it isn't.
I did call Cindy this morning and she was gonna try and make it, but she already had plans, so she was gonna try and get a hold of some of the others to come, so.
Okay.
But, there's a motion. Ron, is there a second?
Yeah.
Any discussion? Vote. I'll stay, I mean, take and leave, but I'll stay as long as you guys, if you guys wanna talk or make plans or have a little group meeting or anything, I'll stay around with you.